All right, counsel, please enter your appearance for the record. State first.
Trustee Tyner for the state.
Morning, Your Honor. Jose Rivas. I'm here on the behalf of Jose Luis Montes on 22 CF 258.
All right, Mr. Montes, you've been charged with several counts: kidnapping, false imprisonment, sexual assault, battery, false imprisonment, sexual battery, and battery. So this was previously signed by a judge. So there was probable cause. All right, counsel, you want to make argument as to
I do,
bond?
Judge. Judge, I believe he has 4 counts: false imprisonment, sexual battery, and another.
Yeah,
battery.
it's 4 counts. I don't know why they went with another 3.
Right. All right, Judge. Judge, I would like to make an argument for probable cause, Judge. All we have right here is an affidavit. It's allegations with no substantial evidence to support, no evidence, no rape test, absolutely nothing else other than just the alleged victim's testimony. And although the alleged victim has provided some photos, the affidavit actually states that it's just numerous photos provided by the alleged victim, although it doesn't state that the officer witnessed any of those pictures or actually took those pictures or even witnessed the injuries. So I would argue the affidavit does not even state, when those pictures actually came from, other than or there's nothing to substantiate other than what the allegations that the victim has made. There's no statement by my client that has been made as well, no witnesses, nothing else other than just allegations from the alleged victim.
All right, state, what say you as to bond?
We would be asking to be held with no bond, given the nature of the charges and the incident. He was picked up on a warrant. The previous judge found there to be substantial evidence to issue that warrant, and we would be asked that he be held with no bond.
Are you suggesting that the court has the authority not to set a bond today?
I would ask that they not, but if you don't have that authority, then you don't have that authority.
Judge, I'm sorry, Judge. I would argue, Judge, he is entitled to a bond. It's an F1. It's not a PBL. It's not a capital offense, Judge. So if the court would find that there is probable cause, he is entitled to a bond, Judge. According to the bond schedules, my understanding is $5,000 to $10,000 for that particular count, Judge. But nonetheless, I would still like to take some testimony from a client in regards to his status. He's a U.S. citizen. He's lived here for since 2006. He's a homeowner, and he has full employment. So I would ask the court, would it be necessary I could proffer in regards to those elements?
All right, you may elicit testimony.
Okay. Could you state your full name for the record?
Jose Luis Montes,
Okay. And how long have you lived in Florida for?
since 2006.
Okay. Are you a homeowner?
Yes,
Okay. And when did you purchase your home?
September 2020.
Okay. Are you currently employed?
Yes,
Where do you work at?
Amco Transmission, Fern Park,
And since when have you worked there?
November 2019.
Okay. And do you have a U.S. passport?
Yes,
I do. Do you have partial custody or 50% custody of your children?
yes,
How many children do you take care of?
3.
Okay. And do you have family in the area?
Yes.
Okay. What family do you have in the
I
area?
got my sister, I live in Winter Garden. My auntie live in Orlando, and I got another uncle live in Vero Beach.
Okay. That's all I have, Judge, other than argument.
All right, I'm going to set bond in the amount of $5,000 on count 1 and $150 each on counts 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to require, sir, that you have no contact with the alleged victim in this case. I understand that you don't reside together, but I am going to require that you have no contact. I'm also going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you own any, you must surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. And no contact with the alleged victim means that you can't call her, you can't go where she lives or works, you can't use social media, you can't use other people in an effort to contact her. No contact means no contact. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge. That's all I have. May I be excused?
You may.
We can. Thank you. Wait.
All right, the next case we'll take is Stephen Griffin.
Marceline Eugene, on behalf of the Office of the Public Defender, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Please state your name for the record.
Tiana Brown.
What was your last name, Miss Tiana?
Brown.
Brown? All right, state, you may inquire.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good.
Just have a few questions. What's your relationship to the defendant?
He's my child's dad.
Okay. Are you afraid of him?
No,
And has anything like this ever happened before?
no,
Do you believe there were any drugs or alcohol involved in this incident?
no,
And if anything like this happens in the future, are you willing to call 911?
yes,
Do you live with the defendant?
sort of.
Sort of. So do you have somewhere else you can go and stay? Okay. And then do you want to have contact with him?
Sure.
No. Were the children present when this incident occurred?
No,
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, and I'm sorry, you said that they do reside together? I didn't catch a testimony on that. Do you live together or separately?
we kind of live together.
Okay, but you don't want to have contact with them, right?
I
That's
don't-
what you said?
It doesn't, we could have contact when it comes to summer. Like, for the sake of summer.
All right, and I'm going to, I'm trying to understand the living situation. Are you living with him or is he living with you? Is it your place or
Yes, it's my apartment.
it's your apartment? Okay. All right, so sir, I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve any personal belongings that you have at the residence, if you have any. So the testimony, well, I'm not completely certain I understand the testimony, so I'm gonna require that you maintain separate residence, but I'm gonna allow you to have no hostile contact, so he can contact you, talk about parenting, the minor children, and do other things, but no hostile contact. Is that what you're telling me that you want, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna require that you have no hostile contact. I'm also going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you have any, you must turn them over to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. And I'll set bond in the amount of $1,500 on count one, $150 on count two. Oh, and I'm sorry, I don't think I appointed, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. They're interpreters? All right, we'll get the interpreter back on the line.
Good morning, Your Honor. This is Ricardo Morales, Spanish interpreter. I have been previously sworn.
All right, Mr. Morales, the defendant is approaching the podium to put on the headsets.
1 second, Your Honor, while the interpreter verifies connection.
Buenos días. Sí, buenos días.
Your Honor, the interpreter can confirm there's connection to the headsets. We're ready to proceed.
Okay, ma'am, please state your name.
María Belis Arroyo Burgos. Sí.
Maria Valdez, Arroyo Burgos.
All right, and I don't have, no, the, affidavit of indigency. Oh, you don't have it for, okay. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender, at least provisionally. Okay, so it looks like we've got 2 charges. We've got a new law violation of battery, domestic violence. And then there is failure to appear on a petty theft. So on the failure to appear, the judge has set bond in the amount of $500, which I'll stay at. And on the battery, domestic violence, so both of the defendants are here now?
No, Your Honor, I don't believe the other defendant was arrested. I believe they just put in a notice to the state attorney's office.
All right, I find probable cause doesn't qualify for PTR. I'll set bond in the amount of $1,500. Mr. Arroyo, I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time to the residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. By no contact with the defendant, I mean you can't call him, you can't see him in person, you can't use social media or other people in an attempt to contact him. I'm also going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you own any, you must turn them over to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. All right, thank you, ma'am. And Mr. Morales, we have 3 more defendants that require interpreting, and so,
Certainly, Your Honor. May the interpreter ask for this Ms. Arroyo's case number?
yes.
It was 22 MM 4765 AO.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Rodriguez, we're on you. You don't require an interpreter? Okay, she's refusing the interpreting. Ms. Rodriguez, do you want to be represented by the Public Defender's Office?
For today, but eventually, depending on the outcome, I will.
Okay, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you provisionally. You've been charged with battery, domestic violence. If I find probable cause, you do qualify for pretrial release. So I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time to the shared residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to obtain your personal belongings.
Can I talk, there's no one in the house. Nobody's living in the house. The key in the house was changed. He already took all his belongings. He has somewhere else where he pays rent.
All right, if nobody's there, you may return there, but, if he's there, you can't be there.
I understand, but he already left.
And I'm gonna require that you possess no weapons or firearms, and if you own any, you must, surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. All right, please step through there.
Your Honor, is there gonna be a bond on that?
No, it was
Straight
straight
release.
PTR.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm not paying,
No, just pre-trial release. You're released on pre-trial release.
All right, sir, please step forward and put the headsets on. All right, Mr. Morales, the defendant has the headsets on.
Sí.
Your Honor, the interpreter can confirm there's connection.
All right, sir, please state your name.
Okay, Elías Quintanilla. Elías Quintanilla.
Elias Quintanilla.
All right, Mr. Cantanilla, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with interference with custody of a minor and battery, touch, or strike. This was actually, the warrant was signed by me, and I'll say the bonds that I set. Count one, $3,500, count two, $250.
And the conditions remain the same, Your Honor?
And the conditions remain the same, no contact with the alleged victim or her parents, and no return to the restaurant.
Ajá.
My apologies, Your Honor. May the interpreter ask for the case number?
You may, it's 2022 CF 8254AO.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, the defendant has the headsets on.
Sí.
Your Honor, the interpreter can confirm there's connection.
Please state your name, sir.
Moisés David Vargas Rosas.
Moisés David Vargas Rosa.
And it's case number 2022MM4760AO. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. Witness, do you require an interpreter?
No, no entiendo inglés.
All right, Mr. Morales, you have to translate for the interpreter too, if you want to just do it overhead.
Certainly, Your Honor.
All right, will you please ask the witness to raise his right hand to be sworn in?
Señor, por favor, levante su mano derecha para prestar juramento.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Jura o promete que el testimonio que dará el día de hoy será la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad, lo juro ante Dios.
Lo juro ante Dios.
I swear to God.
All right, and state you may inquire.
Fiscalía puede hacer preguntas.
Sí.
What is your relationship to the defendant?
Señor, ¿cuál es su relación para con el acusado?
And interpreter, you can tell him he can put his hand down.
Señor, puede bajar la mano derecha.
So what's your relationship to the defendant?
No entiendo inglés.
Señor, ¿usted me escucha?
Sí.
Bien, yo le voy a hacer las preguntas en español para que entienda lo que está sucediendo, ¿bien?
Okay.
My apologies, State. You can ask again.
What's your relationship to the defendant?
Señor, ¿cuál es su relación para con el acusado?
Él es mi hijo. Ayer,
He's my son.
ayer iba a salir en el carro y yo le pedí nada más que hablara conmigo. Y él se puso.
Yesterday, he was getting out on his car, and I asked to talk with him, and then he got aggressive.
Are you asking to, do you want to have contact with the defendant?
Señor, ¿usted quiere tener contacto con el acusado?
Sí, es mi hijo. Quiero que le den
Yes, he's my son.
Are you afraid of him?
¿Acaso usted le teme?
No,
No.
Has anything like this ever happened before?
¿Algo como esto ha sucedido anteriormente?
no, nunca.
Do you believe there
No, never.
Do you believe there were any drugs or alcohol involved in this incident?
¿Usted entiende que la droga o el alcohol tuvo algo que ver en este incidente?
No sé qué pasaría. Primera vez que veo esa reacción en él.
I don't know what would happen. It's the first time I've seen him react the way he did.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor. I would like to make some arguments.
No tengo más preguntas en este momento, señoría. Quisiera hacer algunos argumentos.
Just for the conditions of release,
Perdón, ¿cómo dice?
because the defendant was attempting to go to a party, I would ask that part of his conditions of release, if released, would be that he have no drugs or alcohol.
Solo quisiera añadir, señoría, que como parte de las condiciones que se van a fijar en este caso, ya que el acusado intentó ir a una fiesta, que se incluya como parte de las condiciones que no consuma ninguna droga o alcohol.
All right, Mr. Vargas, since your father is not in fear and he's going to allow you to come back to the house,
Señor Vargas, ya que su padre no le tiene temor y está de acuerdo con que usted regrese al hogar,
I'm going to set bond in the amount of $1,500.
fijaré la fianza entonces en $1,500.
I'm going to require that you have no hostile contact with your parents.
Voy a ordenarle que no tenga ningún tipo de contacto hostil con sus padres.
I'm going to require that you not consume any alcohol or illegal drugs.
También voy a ordenarle que no consuma alcohol y ningún tipo de droga ilícita.
I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms.
Le requiero que no tenga ni posea armas o armas de fuego.
If you own any weapons or firearms, you must surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release.
De tener en posesión algún arma o arma de fuego debe ser entregada inmediatamente a la policía del condado de Orange dentro de 24 horas de su puesta en libertad.
All right, that's all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dad, for coming in.
Eso es todo. Gracias. Gracias a papá por estar aquí el día de hoy.
Gracias.
All right, are there any witnesses that require an interpreter, the services of the interpreter? No, and I don't believe we have any more inmates, right?
That's right, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Morales, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a great day.
You too, bye. What's the name of the Creole defendant?
Miss Innocent, I think it's Janesi if it's pronounced.
All right, Creole interpreter, please state your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Therese. My number is 111546.
Have you been
After hearing-
sworn, have you been sworn in yet today?
No, ma'am. Do you swear to translate from English to Creole, Creole to English, testimonies given? Yes, ma'am.
All right, please ask the defendant to state her name.
Allô, bonjour. Moi, relais Thérèse. Dis non, s'il vous plaît.
Genèse, innocent.
Jeunesse innocent.
All right, ma'am, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you.
Moi, appointé public défendeur qui pourra le représenter ou là.
Oui.
You've been charged with child abuse.
Ok, yo charge ou pour passer ou abuser ti moun.
Pas besoin, oui.
Yes.
How old is Diana? It doesn't say in here.
I believe 16, Your Honor.
16, okay.
Ki l'âge Diana, yo pas dit li là.
Li gen 16 ans. Li fait gen 16 ans.
He just become 16 years old.
All right, I find probable cause. I'm gonna set bond in the amount of $1,500. And I'm going to require that the defendant comply with any requirements by the Department of Children and Family Services.
Ok, mwen wè ke ou gen yon cause pou sa ke ou ba yon caution pour $1,500 et yo mande pour ou supposé suivre toute règle que Département Children and Family dit ou pour faire ou supposé obéir.
Attendez, non?
Your Honor, this is the interpreter. The defendant asked me to repeat what I just said.
She asked
Can
what?
I repeat? To repeat what I just said. She said she did not hear me. Can I repeat what I just said?
Yes, please repeat what you just said.
Oui, yo trouvé que ou gen cause yo pour capable payer yon caution, yon frais de $1,500. Lorsqu'on paye $1,500, ou supposé obéir tout ça que Département Children and Family dit pour faire, ou supposé suivre yo pour capable obéir.
Moi, entendez ou dit que pour moi payer 1000 combien?
$1,500.
Your Honor, I do have a question. Does client qualify for ROR, Your Honor? She doesn't have a history. I know she doesn't qualify for PTR because of the charge, but does she qualify for ROR?
No.
Okay.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Merci, madame.
No, because they live together.
I'm just gonna, Your Honor, did you want her to keep the no, is there a no contact for this? Because her and the victim reside together, and I don't know if
I
there's.
know, I don't know what to do about that because the victim's 16. Is there somebody else in the house? Is there a husband or a father? Who's the
Est-ce que
BB
gen l'autre
person?
moun nan kay la? Est-ce que gen l'autre moun nan kay la? Est-ce que gen mari ou bien papa qui nan kay la?
Non, je suis single mother.
No, I am a single mother.
It says it's a minor. Because DCF didn't take the child.
I believe
There-
there's
Older sister, I think,
an older sister.
who doesn't reside with them.
Okay,
Gen yon grand sœur qui paraît qui dans même kay avec.
can your daughter go live with her sister for a little bit?
Est-ce que petit ou a capable aller rester avec sœur là pour qu'elle un petit temps?
Elle rete la kala avec lui.
Kay sœur ou?
Oui, li kal rete la kay sel la pour un petit temps. Oui.
Yes, she can go and live with her sister for a while.
Okay, I'll require you to maintain a separate residence and that you have no contact with the minor child.
Ok, donc ma mette pour nous capables rester dans côté séparé, pour nous capables séparer, so pas supposé jamais bien contact avec ti moun nan qui yon mineur.
I'll allow you to have contact one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to explain to your daughter that she needs to go live with her sister for a little bit.
On ka pose une question.
Ou pal gen contact avec ti moun nan seulement yon fois. supposé gen yon officier qui là qui présent pendant que vous pouvez expliquer ti moun nan que li pouvez habiter avec sœur li.
On peut poser une question?
Can I ask you a question?
Well, so you can, but it's dangerous because you may say something that incriminates yourself. It's better if you can talk to your attorney first.
Oui, ou capable, mais li dangereux parce qu'on capable di yon bagay qui incrimine contre vous, qui yon bagay qui contre vous. Donc, le plus bon pour parler avec avocat ou.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Madam Interpreter.
Oh, you're welcome, Your Honor. Is there anything else I can do for you?
No, that's it. I appreciate it.
Okay, you will. Thank you for using our service. Bye-bye.
Your Honor, Mr. Harper is mental health.
All right. Do you want me to appoint the public defender and waive his appearance so we can set conditions of release?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent him. I'll set bond in the amount of, does not qualify, I'll set bond in the amount of $1,500. I'll require that he have no contact with the alleged victim, that he maintain a separate residence. He can return one time to the residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to obtain his personal belongings. He not possess any weapons or firearms, and that he surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff within 24 hours of his release from incarceration.
Michael White is also mental health.
Are you okay with the same?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so I'll appoint the office of the public defender. I'll stay the bond in the amount of $500. No return to the 7-Eleven. That's a subject location. All right, James Booker. All right, Mr. Booker, you do qualify for a public defender. I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with aggravated assault with a firearm.
Say it again.
All right, I find probable cause. Okay. All right, I will set bond in the amount of $5,000. I'm going to require that the defendant have no contact with the alleged victims in this case, that the defendant not return to the scene of the incident, that the defendant not possess any weapons or firearms. And if he has any weapons or firearms that the police have not already confiscated, they must be surrendered to the Orange County Sheriff within 24 hours of his release from incarceration.
Your Honor,
Yes.
may I say something? In regards to the aggravated assault with a firearm, that scene is where he resides. The alleged victim doesn't reside there.
Okay, I was confused in the write-up, because it looked, I thought, I understood it to be that he came onto that scene, but, so you're telling me that the Lake Jessup is where your client resides?
He resides where, I can't remember the address. 17305 Mercury, where, next to, I just know them by names, next to where Melissa was located, where the alleged victim came to assist.
Okay, so he resides there, and the other person came on to that?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so he can return to his residence,
Okay.
but you have no contact with the, with the alleged victim. If the other person, if the Frank person does come around, then you have to leave. You can't be in the presence with him.
Your Honor, is it possible if the bond could be lowered in the aggravated assault with a firearm to under 5,000, potentially 1,500?
State, what say you to the 1,500?
We would object to that. 5,000 is the bond schedule, and there is a firearm involved.
Okay, and I do see that your client has prior failure to appear
Understood.
and several, quite a little history, so I'm gonna leave it at 5,000.
Was that 2 cases?
There's an attempted burglary, a bond that's already set on that one. The attempted burglary of a dwelling.
That's the one case. I've only got the aggravated assault with a firearm.
I believe there's a bond already set for that one. Would you like the case number?
I don't know what case you're talking about. I only have one case.
That's on one judge.
Okey-dokey.
It's on, he went to IA on the 13th.
Hello.
Robert Crew?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Crew. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with resisting an officer without violence. I find probable cause, stay the bond at 500.
Your Honor, can client be released on ROR in regards to this charge?
State.
This defendant is listed as transient, and because of that, I would prefer that he have a bond just so that we can ensure his return. I do know that the state typically offers a PTD program for this, but because I'm not sure of his criminal history or if he qualifies and he is transient, I would prefer that he have a bond. Thank you. The state would prefer.
Your Honor, client stating that he does have contact information, even though he's transient, where he can get in contact with his attorney if released on RR.
You want to, since it's a misdemeanor, can we just resolve it today?
Yes, I don't have the resisting officer without violence paperwork unless he can sit and watch the video somewhere.
I will
I don't have the
check
paperwork.
his criminal history and make sure he is eligible, and no objection to that. If he is, excuse me. It does appear that he is eligible for the PTD program. So he can be released to ROR if you feel that that's appropriate, or we can get him the paperwork and he can do it today and just resolve it.
You want to talk to him for a minute? Ask him if he would like to resolve it today?
I don't have a copy of that.
I don't know how.
If we would like to come back to this at the end of the docket, maybe if she can print it or find it.
Well, if you didn't want to do the pretrial diversion, it would be an adjudication of guilt, court costs, credit time served.
Did you take that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is also.
Are you done on probation? Are you done on probation?
I mean, I'm gonna say so.
Your Honor, 1 second, please. He'll be willing to accept that offer. He's gonna go over the form of them. One moment, Your Honor, as I review this with him.
Okay.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may, or just give it to the, yeah, either way. Thank you. All right, Mr. Crew, I'm holding up a plea agreement form, and you just had the opportunity to go over this with your attorney. Do you have any questions? No. And I saw that you had just signed it. Are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking?
No.
Is anybody forcing you to enter into this plea agreement today?
No.
Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, entering into the plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
Okay.
Are you currently on probation for any other offense?
No.
On the charge of resisting an officer without violence, how do you plead?
No contest.
I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty of the offense. I'm going to sentence you to 1 day in the Orange County Jail and give you credit for time served of 1 day. I'm going to assess mandatory court costs. As to the court costs, I'm going to give you 1 year to pay those off. If for any reason you're unable to pay it off within that time, report to the clerk's office to set up a payment plan. And sir, you are still trespassed from that Sunoco gas station, so you can't go back there, all right? You understand?
Okay, I understand.
All right, thank you, sir. Ashley Fair Contour. All right, and we have a witness.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Damian Williams.
All right, and ma'am, you've been charged with armed burglary of an occupied dwelling, burglary of an occupied dwelling with assault and battery, aggravated assault, dating violence, attempted aggravated assault, and criminal mischief. And this was previously, it was signed by a judge, so probable cause was previously found. State, you may inquire of the witness.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What is your relationship to the defendant?
Associate friend.
Okay, and are you afraid of the defendant?
No.
Are you wishing to have contact with the defendant?
Yes.
Okay, if anything like this happens again, will you be willing and able to call 911?
Yes.
Has anything like this ever happened before?
Sort of, kind of. But these charges, I don't wish to pursue none of the charges except for the criminal dwelling. She never burglarized anything, broke in, she never assaulted anyone. There was no domestic violence. However, there was damage done to property. And that's what I thought she was going to be charged with, but everything else was kind of over excessive.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Mhm.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Are one of these offenses a PBL? The PTR sheet says it's a PBL. I didn't think those were.
Yeah, I thought it was the burglary of occupied dwelling with the assault or battery. I thought it was that one, but I could be mistaken.
Oh, that one's a PBL?
I can double check, Your Honor.
It is? Okay. All right, so, I can set bond in, count one of $2,500. Count two is no bond since it's a PBL. Count three, set bond in the amount of $150. Count four, $150. Count five, $150. I'll require that the defendant have no hostile contact with the alleged victim.
Excuse me, Your Honor, if I may. Even though I'm not choosing to pursue that charge, because like I said, it wasn't a valid charge. She never broke in my house, broke in my apartment or anything. There was never no assault or anything done. Like I said, there was just property damage done, but all the other charges is just, those is tacked on. I never intended or wanted the officer to add those charges on there.
The state attorney's office will, since you're a victim listed in this case, they'll contact you about this and what the charges are and what the charges will be. Right now, she's just appearing on what she was picked up on. So you should have an opportunity to speak with the state attorney's office and let the attorney who covers the case know that that's the situation.
Well, I simply said that because I know one of them carried no bond on it.
Right, but we're today, and for the initial appearance, that's what she's arrested on. And so that's what it will be. And then you can contact the state attorney's office during the week and work with them on what they're ultimately going to charge her with. But right now, at this limited proceeding,
Right.
that's what she's charged with, and it carries no bond.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, Smith's behavior.
All right. Public defender, can I appoint you and waive them and set bond conditions?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent Mr. Smith. I'll set bond in the count one of $2,500, count two, $250. I'll require that the defendant have no contact with the alleged victims. In this case, that he maintain a separate residence, that he not possess any weapons or firearms, that he comply with any requirements set forth by DCF with respect to the child, and that he not possess any weapons or firearms, and if he owns any, to surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of his release from incarceration.
Thank you.
All right. Telly Tate.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Tate, you've been charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and assault domestic violence. And we have 2 witnesses.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name one at a time.
Jones.
Ma'am, if you'll state your name.
Alicia Darden.
And sir?
Jabari Jones.
All right, state you may inquire.
I'll start with you, ma'am. Are you wishing to have contact with the defendant?
No.
What's your relationship to the defendant?
He's my husband.
Okay. And has anything like this happened in the past?
Yes.
Do you believe any drugs or alcohol were involved in this incident?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And then you, sir, are you wishing to have contact with the defendant?
No.
What's your relationship?
He's stepfather.
Okay. And has anything like this happened in the past?
Yes.
Both of you, are you afraid of the defendant?
Yes.
You're both afraid? Okay. And then I think that's it. Nothing further.
May I add that he's been calling my phone while he's incarcerated, making threats. I didn't answer it after the first time, but I told the officer, and I heard them tell him not to call, but he continued to call up until this morning when I got here.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, so I'll set bond in the amount of $2,500 on count 1 and $250 on count 2. Mr. Tate, I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victims. No contact means you can't call, you can't go by, no social media. And sorry, it's the duty phone, just a minute. Judge Carvalho. Okay, all right, let me finish this IA and then I'll look at it. Thank you. All right, so I'll require that you have no contact with them. Again, that's through any means. You can't call them on the phone, show up in person, use social media. And you don't reside together, right?
Yes.
You do? Okay. So, Mr. Tate, I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you own any, you must turn them in to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. Thank you, sir.
2750. Only 10% of that, you have to pay the whole dish. You can't qualify for 10% of that. 10% of that and holding it back, or a total combined.
Go ahead. Just a moment, I have an emergency warrant, I have to, real quick. Okay, sorry about that. All right, Jason Willoughby?
He's present, Your Honor.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Please state your name for the record.
this Shayla Willoughby.
All right, thank you, ma'am. State you may inquire.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. How are you today? Are you seeking contact with the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your relationship to the defendant?
He's my husband.
Your husband? Are you afraid of him?
No, ma'am.
Was the child present when this incident occurred?
No, ma'am.
If anything like this happens again, are you willing and able to call 911?
Yes, ma'am.
And has anything like this ever happened before?
Not anything like recent. We've been married 7 years and we've been together 11 years. We've been together since high school. So like in the beginning of our relationship, this stuff like this like maybe once happened. But I just want to say that, you know, he is like the sole provider and it's really hard out there for us, and he's under a lot of pressure to take care of us and our 2 sons, and being that our second son is sickly, I am no longer working because I have to be home with him, so he's the sole one working, and I understand there's no excuse for the things that he did, but he is a great father. He does not drink, he does not do anything, he does not go out, he come home, he goes to work, come home, and make sure that we are taken care of, and I forgive him for his mistake because we're not perfect, and I understand that he's under a lot of pressure to take care of us, and we don't have a lot of money. We probably have like $50 to our name, and if he doesn't go to work on Monday, then we won't have any money to pay our bills or anything. So,
So, like you said, you're not afraid of him?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
And I don't believe I appointed you yet. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent Mr. Willoughby. All right, Mr. Willoughby, based on the testimony, and you do qualify for a PTR, so I'll release you PTR on both counts. I am going to require that you have no hostile contact with your wife. So no more arguments, no more trying to hold her into the room. All right, you understand? All right, I'm also going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. And if you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you for coming in, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, and next we have Kia Arnold. Oh, Sakaya. Okay, thank you. All right, ma'am, you've been charged with battery, domestic violence. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. All right, ma'am, I will find probable cause. I'm gonna set bond in the amount of $2,500. I'm gonna require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. You're gonna have to maintain a separate residence. You can return one time to the shared residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm gonna require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Your Honor, I do have a question. Can bond be reduced to 500?
For what purpose?
Because client cannot afford the $2,500 bond. You can? Okay, I apologize, she can.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Collis Stinson? All right, Mr. Denson, what do we got here? We got battery, domestic violence, probation violation, 1, 2, 3, 3 VOPs. So, does a public defender want to be appointed in all 3 of the VOPs?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender on the new law violation, the battery, domestic violence, and on the 3 VOPs. The 3 VOPs will be stayed at none. The battery, domestic violence, it was a warrant signed by a judge already, so there was probable cause. I'll set bond in the amount of $2,500. Require that the defendant have no contact with the alleged victim, maintain a separate residence. The defendant can return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve any personal belongings if they reside together. And that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you have any, that you turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. I have 3, yeah.
I think I have 2. They're gonna go check.
All right, so we got, I don't know, so there's one out of Hillsborough County. It says it's court case number 1118341. Then there's another one in Hillsborough County, 1119303. And then, oh, this is still, it's the same one, never mind. It's the 119303.
2, you have 2. There's 2.
So it was just 2. All right, Brad Edwards.
Present, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Edwards, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with battery, dating violence.
Yes.
All right, sir. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you have any, you must turn them in to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry, wait, you're out on bond, I have to address this. So,
Your Honor,
yep,
will you be willing to take no action on the case he's out on bond for because he's currently enrolled in PTD? So he can finish that course once released?
State, do you have a position?
What's the charge?
I don't know.
Fleeing and eluding, I believe.
No objection.
All right, based on no objection from the state, I won't take any action on the case that he's out on bond on.
That's it, ma'am.
Yes.
All right, Antoinette Hopper. All right, sir, you do not qualify for a public defender, so I won't be able to appoint the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with battery, domestic violence. You do qualify for PTR, so I'll release you under the pretrial release program. I am going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim and that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to the shared residence to retrieve any personal belongings. I'm going to require again that you have no contact with the alleged victim. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any, you must surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. Thank you, sir. All right, Jeremy Martz. All right, Mr. March, you've been charged with battery, domestic violence. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. All right, sir, do you reside at the Fairlawn Drive? No, you were just over there, okay. All right, so I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim in this case. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you have any, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. I'm gonna set bond in the amount of $1,500.
Your Honor, may we get a no return to that address?
Yes, I'm gonna require that you not return to the scene of the offense, the 6214 Fairlawn Drive. All right, thank you, sir. Devin Oaks. All right, Mr. Oaks, you've been charged with battery, domestic violence. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. All right, I'm going to set bond in the amount of $1,500. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time to the shared residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you have any, you must surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Your Honor, client would like to say that she no longer resides there. She moved out the day prior.
All right, if the victim is not there, you may return. If whenever you go, if she's there, leave.
Yes, I talked to the Orange County Sheriff's, or no, it was OPD. And it was the day before any of this even occurred. They said just come and grab, that she's coming to grab all her stuff, and one of her family members is gonna come get it.
Okay.
To box it up and everything, and I've already started all that.
All right, just make sure that you don't have contact with her. If she shows up, you have to leave, though.
Okay. Well, I rent from a landlord, and the landlord said she is no longer allowed over there.
Okay. Well, I'm just telling you, sir, if she shows up at the place, you leave though, because you're gonna be the one in trouble.
I mean, she's not on the lease or anything.
I'm telling you, sir, if she shows up
Yes,
there,
ma'am.
you leave.
Okay, I will.
All right? Is
Yeah.
there any doubt about what I'm telling you?
Okay, no, I get you.
Okay, because you're gonna be the one in trouble.
I understand.
I get what you're telling me, but if she shows up, you need to leave.
I will.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Sanchez Cologne? All right, sir, you've been charged with battery, domestic violence. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You do qualify for PTR, so I'll release you under the PTR program. And I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. And she's your ex-girlfriend. Do you reside there?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a shared residence?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm gonna require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. I'm gonna require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you have any, you must surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff's Department within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Shamika Soaga? Thank you. Please step forward. All right, you've been charged with battery, domestic violence. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You do qualify for PTR. All right, I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time to the shared residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you have any, you must surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff's Department within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Your Honor, I do have something to say in regards to this. I do understand that the victim is not present currently, but she's stating that she is the sole provider of the two children. She does work from home as well. So it'll be difficult for her to find somewhere else to live and to have no contact.
Well, because he's not here, it's no contact and separate residence
Okay, until it's modified.
until
Okay.
it's modified by the assigned judge, yes.
Yes. PTR, correct, Your Honor?
PTR, yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Your Honor, Barconi is a refusal.
All right, Madam Public Defender, can I
Yes.
appoint you in his case?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender. I'll stay bond in the amount of $7,500, and I'll revoke the bond on the existing felony,
I do have a question, Your Honor, in regards to that.
or revoke the ROR.
No information has been filed yet in that case.
Oh, there hasn't been?
No information has been filed yet.
All right, is that accurate, State?
I'm sure it is.
All right, then I won't do anything with the ROR and the felony since it hasn't been filed on yet.
Okay.
Bivens? All right, Mr. Bivens, you have two FTAs, and the judge in that failures to appear, and the judge in that case has set the bond at none, so I'll stay it.
Your Honor, it did state in the notes to bond to be modified at IAs. So if you're able to set a bond, if you'd like to, can you please set a bond?
It says bond is not to be modified at initial.
Oh,
hearing.
sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't see the not. I apologize.
No problem.
0. Yes.
Your Honor, Bronson is a refusal.
May I appoint the public defender to represent Mr. Bronson?
Yeah. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent Mr. Bronson, and it looks like he's got 2 cases. Possession of meth, trespass on property after warning, and the other case is criminal mischief. And so I'll stay the bonds as set. In the first case, count 1 is 1,000, the trespass count is 500, and the criminal mischief is 1,000. All right, Brown, Jason Brown.
He's present, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Brown. Let's see here. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. Let's see here. You've been charged with trafficking and meth, possession of meth, possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver, possession of ammunition by a convicted felon, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, sale, delivery of Xanax, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Okay, state, what is your recommendation on the trafficking bond?
We would just ask for the maximum of the bond schedule, given that this incident has multiple charges and they're all of a similar nature. He also has I don't see very many community ties, and I don't see any listed employment either.
All right, on count 1. I don't know, what's the bond schedule on trafficking?
I'm looking now, Your Honor. Is that a first-degree felony?
I'm a county court judge.
Yeah. I'm a county court ASA. I believe it's a first-degree felony. Yeah.
That's really high. All right, I'm gonna set bond in the amount of 25,000 on count 1 and stay the bonds on the other ones.
Thank you, Your Honor. My apologies.
No problem.
I apologize, Your Honor. I'm just writing down the bond amounts.
No problem.
Your Honor, Bert's bonded.
I'm sorry, what?
Bert's bonded.
Thank you. Crouch.
Yes.
All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. And so, you've been charged with trafficking and cocaine with a firearm, possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver, possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver, possession of drug paraphernalia. Count 1 is a PBL, so there's no bond, and I'll stay the bonds on the other counts.
The punishment. If I'm not mistaken, Your Honor, I do believe. That's fine. That's okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, DeShields? All right, sir, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with grand theft of a motor vehicle. All right, I'll stay the bond in the amount of $1,000. Amber Dozier?
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you.
I actually have Mr. Robert Mandel as my lawyer. I don't know about this particular. I think he was going to represent me, but I wasn't able to call him and let him know that I was arrested because this wasn't supposed to be an arrest because I wasn't driving.
Okay, I can appoint the Office of the Public Defender just provisionally, and
Yes,
then
ma'am.
if you have your own counsel, that's fine.
Yes, ma'am.
So you've been charged with fleeing and eluding, possession of a controlled substance without a prescription.
No.
No, I'm telling you what you've been charged with.
I don't know.
Evidence, altering or destroying concealed drug equipment possession and or use, moving traffic violation, reckless driving, first offense. And this was by a warrant, so a judge previously found probable cause. And let's see here. So on the count one, fleeing and eluding, I'll set bond in the amount of $5,000 and set bond in the amount of $150 on the other 4 charges. And then on the, I'll revoke the bond on the felony.
Zero bond.
Is it,
Information has been filed in that case, Your Honor.
it has been?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm revoking the bond in 2022 CF 1862AO.
So one second, Your Honor, I apologize.
Your Honor, Miss Pecky was medical.
Becky was what?
Medical.
Medical. All right, it's a failure to appear with no bond, so, can I just appoint the public defender? Oh, no, she's got new charges too. Well, can I appoint you on the FTA and the new charges?
Yes,
counsel?
Your Honor.
All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender. The failure to appear is no bond, and I'll stay the bonds in the other case. The aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer, $5,000, possession of cocaine, $150, possession of drug paraphernalia, $100.
She has a reporting requirements upon being released. He needs to report.
Okay, well, she's got no bond on the FTA. So, what are her reporting requirements?
To report with FDLE upon being released.
Okay, and so she'll have to report to FDLE upon release. Thank you. All right, Eric Ford?
He's present.
All right, sir, you've been charged with fleeing, attempting to elude a police officer. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. Mr. Ford does qualify for PTR. Does anybody have any objection?
No objections.
All right, I'll release you on PTR. What would you recommend?
Accept judge.
Huh?
Talking about me?
Yeah.
Is at your discretion, judge.
No conditions. Thank you. Okay, Hunter, Douglas Hunter?
Your Honor, he is outside medical.
All right, and I'll appoint the public defender. And I'll set bond on the fleeing and eluding in the amount of $5,000 and stay the bonds in all the other ones. You need me to state them, or do you have them, counsel?
I have them, Your Honor.
I have them as well.
All right, Jones, Robert Jones? Okay, Mr. Jones. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with trafficking and cocaine with a firearm, possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver, possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, possession of ammunition by a convicted felon, and possession of drug paraphernalia. What's RTS? What's RTS?
This for Robert, right?
Yes.
Speak with TR.
So with the,
I believe that for
You don't
the
qualify.
trafficking case, Your Honor,
Because of the traffic.
the, no bond, I would be asking for the maximum of the bond schedule, just because he has, similar arrests and history, as well as his last conviction was for, very similar charges, possessions, drug paraphernalia. He also had, deadly weapon and possession of, ammo and weapons by a felon.
on count one, I'll set bond in the amount of $100,000, and I'll stay the bond on the other 5 counts.
Your Honor, Leaguer bonded.
Okay, louder.
He's present.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Louder, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with sale, delivery of cocaine. It was a warrant signed by a judge who previously found probable cause. I'll stay the bond in the amount of $15,000.
He
Yes.
has a charge that he's out on bond on. I know it wasn't on the paperwork, and I was putting it on record in court. The court case is 2022 CF 00123780, and it's possession of cocaine with intent to sell, deliver.
Let me just verify that information's in file. All right, the state has filed on that one. I'll revoke the bond in 2022 CF 123780. All right, Edwin Martinez.
Approach it.
All right, Mr. Martinez, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with petty theft, 2 prior convictions, and this is by a warrant already from a judge, and I'll stay the bond in the amount of $2,500.
Your Honor, McPhee bonded.
Thank you.
Nash is mental health.
All right, so Nash is mental health. Given the nature of the charges and mental health, why don't we just wait and see if we can get them back? I want to make sure any conditions that the defendant understands, any conditions of release, so we'll just,
Roll it over till tomorrow?
yeah, we'll roll it to tomorrow and see what we can do. Jarul Neal?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor, I would like to be heard on this one.
Okay.
The assigned ASA on this case reached out prior to this morning's hearing, and it should be noted for the court that Jarul Neal is a documented gang member and an individual suspected in multiple shootings throughout the Apopka area. His arrest in this case was for various firearm offenses, and he's currently out on bond in case number 2021 CF 015848 for trafficking heroin. This case is handled by ASA Neff, and we are asking that his bond be revoked in the open case, and that he not be released on that case.
I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. I'm going to stay the bonds as set in the new law violations. I'm going to revoke the bond in 2021 CF 15848AO.
Your Honor, Pittman refused.
I'll appoint Madam Public Defender, may I appoint you in Pittman and waive his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent Mr. Pittman, and I'll find probable cause and stay the bonds in the amount listed.
Thomas was a bond also.
Okay. Robert White. All right, Mr. White, you do not qualify for a public defender, so I'm not going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with carrying a concealed firearm. I'll find probable cause and stay the bond in the amount of $2,500. Okay.
Williams Cameron is a bond.
Thank you. Rayford Williams?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with larceny, petty theft. I'll stay the bond in the amount of $1,000 and require that you not return to the Walmart located at 10500 West Colonial Drive.
I do apologize, Your Honor. One moment, please.
It's okay.
Your Honor, if possible, if client can be released, RR, he's unable to pay the bond amount set. And he's stating that his medical condition of his knee and his hip, he needs assistance outside of what this judge can provide for him.
State, do you have any objection?
I have an objection to him being released ROR based on the items that were taken from the Walmart and the fact that this is his third subsequent offense. If a new bond is set, we would also ask that the requirement of no drugs or alcohol be added.
Is it possible if he could be released RR just with those conditions, no return to that location, no drugs or alcohol, Your Honor?
So your client can't afford to pay any bond?
1 second, Your
Is
Honor.
there no bond that he can afford?
Your Honor, he did indicate that because he is transient, he's unable to afford even the lowest amount of bond.
All right, I'll release your ROR. I am going to require that you not return to the Walmart and also that you not consume any alcohol or illegal drugs.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Calvin Wright?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Wright, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with possession of cocaine. I'll stay the bond in the amount of $1,000. All right, Gloria Young? All right, ma'am, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with aggravated battery and battery. I'll stay the bond in the amount of $3,500 on count one. I'll reduce the bond to $250 on count two. And I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. It says here that you all reside together. That's incorrect?
I was staying with my brother to be on my feet.
Okay, so you don't reside with,
No, my mother took all my belongings to her house.
okay, all right, so I'm gonna have no contact with the alleged victim, and you may not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any, you need to surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff's Department within 24 hours of your release. All right, Brian Brahales.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right, you do not qualify for a public defender, so I cannot appoint the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with driving while license suspended or revoked. I'll stay the bond in the amount of $500. And then all right, so it looks like he's participating in pretrial diversion on the 2 felonies. Let's take a look at that. All right, it's showing the case is closed. The 2021 CF 15298AO, do you know if he completed the pretrial diversion?
Can we have that case number one more time? I'll look it up.
Sure, it's 2021 CF 15298AO. Oh, never mind. Okay, wait, I see something here. It was closed, but then Judge Strobridge just issued a capias.
It may be shown closed because it went to PTD.
Okay. So it looks like there was a pretrial conference on the 13th that the defendant did not appear, so the judge issued a capias. That one is also showing as closed. And the bond was previously discharged. State, do you know where he is on the completion of the?
No, that's not. Once it goes to PTD, the PTD handles everything.
All right, well, here's what we're gonna do on the 2021 CF 15298AO. I'm revoking the release in that one. And it's scheduled for a hearing on July 27th, I think it was. you're scheduled to be in front of Judge, Strobridge on July 27th at 9 a.m. Oh, you do, it says you have the PD in that case.
Yes, ma'am, I do got a public defender in the,
All right, so you're represented, so counsel, he's represented by the public defender in that case in 2021 CF. So I'm gonna revoke the release in that case. And also, I'm revoking the release in 2021 CF 12717AO.
Okay, Your Honor.
Your Honor, Jessica Davis is medical. He's good to go.
I don't even know what it means. IA for fads only. What does that even mean? All right, so Jessica Davis, the court takes no action in 2022 MM 170AA. The state has not yet perfected service on that case, so I'm not taking any action. Wesley Howard? All right, sir, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with possession of drug paraphernalia. I'll stay the bond at 500.
Your Honor, is it possible if client can be released on ROR in regards to this case?
State, would he qualify for some form of diversion in your office?
I'm not entirely sure. I do see that he has a residence listed. So we would be asking maybe reduce the bond, but not our ROR.
I believe once he's going to be released, Your Honor, I believe he's going to be transferred to Lake County because he has a hold for Lake County.
Same for violation of probation.
Okay, well, we'll ROR him in this case, and it'll be held for the Lake County case.
Thank you, ma'am.
That way they can transport him. Yes. That's it, thank you. Teodulo Lazo?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with trespassing on property. If you want to resolve the case today, we can.
Sure. Yes, Your Honor.
It'd be an adjudication of guilt, credit for time served, no return.
Okay, I'm gonna go over the plea form with him, Your Honor, one second.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Mr. Lazo, I'm holding up a plea agreement form. You just had the opportunity to go over this with your attorney. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking?
No, I doesn't.
Is anybody forcing you to enter into this plea agreement today?
No.
Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
Yes, I do.
Are you currently on probation for any other offense?
I'm not.
On the charge of trespass on property, how do you plead?
No contest.
I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty of the offense. I'm going to give you credit for time served of two days? Is it two? Credit for time served of 2 days. I'm going to assess mandatory court costs. I'm going to require that you not return to the Winter Garden Pavilion located at 104 South Lakeview Avenue, Winter Garden, Florida. And are you, so you're transient? I'll reduce the court cost to a civil judgment. All right, thank you, sir. Joanna Mata?
Approaching, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Mata, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with petty theft. I'll stay the bond in the amount of $250, but I'm going to revoke your bond in 2021 CF 6571 AO. Jesus Rivera Martinez.
Your Honor, he is a refusal.
All right, Madam Public Defender, may I appoint you and waive his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender. I'll stay the bonds. The court takes no action on 2022 CF 6667 AO. It has not yet been filed on.
And Shaw is medical, Your Honor.
All right, let's just roll Shaw to tomorrow because that's when we likely be able to plead out. So maybe we can get him out tomorrow. Medical.
White is mental health.
Okay, I have Brianna Valdez next.
Oh. We don't have that on our docket.
Brianna Valdez. Nope.
2201-6456.
I don't have one. I don't have any paperwork for White.
You bonded?
Thank you.
All right, Emmanuel Risbrook.
Yes.
All right, sir, looks like you're here on a warrant from Seminole County, and the judge does not have a bond on it. So I will stay the bond at none.
And it's due,
Yes. Neither one of them has a bond on. All right, thank you, sir. Villalobos, Stuart Villalobos.
Present, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Villalobos. All right, so this is out of county warrant, Seminole County, and the judge did not put a bond on it, so I will stay it at none. All right, thank you. Gerald Fritz.
Okay, approach.
All right, it looks like the state was given 24 hours. What do we got going on here?
Is this, I have Bailey for resets. This is Fritz, you said?
Fritz, Gerald Bailey Fritz.
Oh, okay, I see. Yes.
Will appoint the Office of the Public Defender, or the PD was previously appointed by Judge Martinez, and it says that the state attorney has 24 hours to submit a supplement arrest affidavit.
Your Honor, I have not dealt with a reset like this before. I am not seeing, affidavit did not print out with my sheet this morning. So I'm not exactly sure. You check and make sure I don't have anything emailed. We were in contact with the deputy sheriff, but I do not have his, I do have, the only document I have is the original from 7/14, July 14th, 2022. I don't have any supplemental at this time.
All right, so it's greater than 10 grams. Public Defender, do you have an argument on PC? I don't know why PC wasn't found, if you could help me out.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm gonna double check. 1 second, please, I apologize. Just want to double check to see if they left any notes from yesterday's IAs. I apologize.
Your Honor, I believe that yesterday they wanted the, report from the initial traffic stop. But I would contend that based on the four corners of the affidavit for this arrest, there is probable cause based on the assist. He arrived on the scene to assist a traffic stop with Deputy Plevcan, and this arrest was made by, the assisting Deputy Arnoldy, Deputy Arnoldy.
I'm guessing the challenge has something to do with the trafficking, but isn't just the quantity based on it as sufficient?
I believe so, Your Honor, but if we requested 24 hours for a PC for the traffic stop, Your Honor, then we would need that report for the traffic stop.
So the lack of probable cause was because of the reason for the traffic stop? Is that what you're telling me?
From what I can understand from my emails, it's saying that because the reason for the traffic stop was not included in Deputy Arnoldy's report, that was the reason for probable cause. But he does reference the report Deputy Plavcan made, and that report number is 22-43308. So Deputy Plavcan does make a report for the stop. It's just not referenced the reason directly for the stop in the assisting officer's report and arrest affidavit.
But I believe they were given 24 hours to provide this report, Your Honor.
I'm gonna find probable cause. I'm gonna set bond in the amount of count one of $10,000, count two in the amount of $250. I'm gonna revoke the bond in case number 2020CF6197AO.
Can you repeat those bond amounts one more time, please? So fast. Thank you. We got it.
I apologize, Your Honor. One moment, please.
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna have the attorney reach out to you.
All right, Benoit?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir. Would you like the public defender to represent you in your violation of probation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent you for the VOP. Judge Navarro signed the violation of probation warrant, and she set the bond at none. I'll stay it.
I'm not sure if it matters or not, Your Honor, but we did file a motion to withdraw for his case. So I guess until the order is signed, then we'll still appoint him. Okay.
Yeah, until the order is signed.
Okay.
He'll still be appointed. All right, Enrique Castro. You can go. Take your paper.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, sir. So this was an on view? All right, sir. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you in the violation of probation. And we'll set bond in the amount of none.
No bond in the VIP.
Can you please let them know?
Not right now.
Okay, got no paperwork?
Deering? All right. Mr. Deering, would you like to resolve the case today? It's solicitor's violation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, will it resolve both of his cases? Because he's currently on RR and another soliciting without a permit.
Yeah, let's take care of both of them.
Okay.
All right, so it's, both of them occurred at the same location. So if you wanted to resolve both of the cases today, they're the same charge. It would be an adjudication in both of them, mandatory court costs, and I'll give you credit for time served, but you cannot return to the 120 East Robinson Street. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
May I write both of the offers on one plea form or two separate plea forms?
You can put them on the same one.
Okay. One moment, Your Honor.
Do you need the other case number?
I have it, Your Honor. Thank you. No, I do actually need the current case number.
The state needs the case numbers.
Okay, the older case is 2022 MO 722 AO, soliciting without a permit. And then the new case is 2022 MO 804 AO.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It looks like he has 2 days in each of them.
One moment, Your Honor, as I review this with him.
No problem. Thank you. All right, Mr. Deering, I'm holding up a plea agreement form that your attorney just went over with you. Do you have any questions about the rights you're giving up?
No, Your Honor.
Are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking?
No, Your Honor.
Is anybody forcing you to enter into the plea agreement today?
No, Your Honor.
Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, entering into the plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you currently on probation for any other offense?
No, Your Honor.
On the 2 charges of soliciting without a permit, how do you plead?
Guilty. No. No contest.
I'll accept your plea of no contest in each of the cases. In each of the cases, I'm going to adjudicate you guilty of the offense. I'm going to require that you not return to the scene, which is 120 East Robinson Street in the city of Orlando. I'm going to give you credit for time served in each of the cases, and I'm going to assess mandatory court costs in each of the cases, and in each of those cases, I'll reduce them to a civil judgment.
Thanks, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. Carl Ford?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Ford, and you've been charged with solicitor's violation. Did you want to resolve the case today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and it would be similar, an adjudication of guilt, no return to the 215 North Orange Avenue, and mandatory court costs, credit for time served?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
So does that mean I'll be released?
yes, sir.
Your Honor, may I please have the case number?
2022 MO 805 AO.
Your Honor, one moment as I review this plea form with him.
Okay.
Who you got?
When I was here last week, and it's really not even a situation.
Yeah, because it's out of state. Yeah, I can have to say I'm in no position because it's not mine.
Thank you. Mr. Ford, I'm holding up a plea agreement form that your attorney just went over with you. Do you have any questions about the rights you're giving up?
I do not.
All right, sir. Are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking?
I am not.
Is anybody forcing you to enter into this plea agreement today?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
I understand.
Are you currently on probation for any other offense? On the charge of a solicitor's violation, how do you plead?
No contest.
I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty of the offense. I'm going to give you credit for time served. I'm going to assess mandatory court costs, and I'm going to require that you not return to 215 North Orange Avenue in the city of Orlando. As to the financial obligations, I'll reduce it to a civil judgment.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Anthony Heath?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Heath, you've been charged with disorderly conduct. Would you like to resolve the case today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, it would be an adjudication of guilt, credit for time served, mandatory court costs, and no return to that Dollar Tree location.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
One moment, Your Honor, as I review this plea form with him.
And it's 2022 MO 806 AO.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Heath, I'm holding up a plea agreement form. Do you have any questions about the rights you're giving up in exchange for the plea agreement?
No, ma'am.
Are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking?
No, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to enter into this plea agreement today?
Sorry, Your Honor.
Is anybody making you do this against your will?
No, ma'am.
You understand that if you're not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you currently on probation for any other offense?
No, ma'am.
On the charge of disorderly conduct, how do you plead?
No contest.
I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty of the offense. I'm going to give you credit for time served. I'm going to assess mandatory court costs, which I'll reduce to a civil judgment. I'm going to require that you not return to the location, the 300 East Michigan Street, the Dollar Tree parking lot.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we have Nieves bonded.
Thank you. And Kirk Palmer?
We don't have that on our docket.
I'm sorry, what? The booking number.
2201.
016455.
Thank you. All right, we'll address Veronica Carmen Jackson now.
Yes, Your Honor, we were unable to bring her over because she is medical.
She's medical?
Restricted medical.
Okay. All right, Mr. Knapp.
Good morning, Your Honor. Joseph Knapp on behalf of Ms. Jackson. As the court may be aware, Ms. Jackson was arrested last Friday on a warrant out of the state of Virginia. I was hired by her family, her mother, who's present here. We came to first appearance thinking that she would be heard that day on Saturday.